Coming up, the frigid weather in the nation's capital is affecting Mother Nature. Find out how the cold temperatures are affecting the DC cherry blossoms.
Also, the latest one on DC mosque that has been vandalized twice in 1 week. Find out how the community is reacting to the crime. District Wire News starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Piola Thomas.
And I'm Mahafreen Mystery.
It's been a long and cold winter in Washington. Snow and icy conditions have been causing hectic commutes and school cancellations. Now the National Weather Service says the frigid temperatures we felt could mean delays for the famous cherry blossoms. James Dubeck has more.
Freezing rain, snow, and ice. We've had a lot of it this winter. The National Weather Service says January temperatures were well below normal this year, with lots of snow and even more cold to come. This means the annual cherry blossom peak bloom may get pushed back this year. Peak bloom happens when 2/3 of the cherry blossoms are open. It's usually around April 4th. Frank Perkins is in town on business and took the time on this rainy day to see the tidal basin.
We didn't come for the cherry blossoms this trip. It would have been nice if it was warm enough and they were out, but it is worth a visit if you can get here while they're in bloom.
More than 1 million tourists come to Washington each spring to see the cherry blossoms, bringing with them an estimated $126 million in tourist revenue. Perkins says the cherry blossoms, combined with the city's free museums, make D.C. a good place to visit.
The beauty of it is, we were just talking, it's a cheap vacation. Once you get here, you can just do all that on your own.
The Park Service says they can't predict peak bloom more than 10 days in advance, but this year's National Cherry Blossom Festival is already set. It starts March 20th and runs through April 12th. James Dubeck, District Wire News.
4 more inches of snow to go and Boston will set a new winter snowfall record. After Sunday's latest storm, a total of 104 inches of snow have fallen so far this winter. The last time Boston's snowfall set a record this high was in 1995 with nearly 108 inches of snow. The odds of setting a new record are high, with more snow expected throughout the week, starting tomorrow night.
Democrats and Republicans are still at odds on the Hill as both sides of the bench have not passed a bill to fund the Department of Homeland Security. Last week, Congress avoided a partial shutdown of DHS hours before the deadline by passing a 7-day extension. Senate Republicans oppose providing funding for DHS that include President Obama's executive action on immigration. If DHS shuts down, more than 30,000 DHS employees would be furloughed.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is in Washington, D.C., where he'll be talking to Congress tomorrow about his disapproval for a nuclear deal with Iran. His visit has been causing a debate in both the U.S. and in Israel. House Speaker John Boehner invited him to speak to Congress without the word of President Obama, who he will not be meeting with. Later this month, Netanyahu will be running for re-election in Israel, and his opponent Isaac Herzog is not pleased about his speech tomorrow.
A former transit mosque will begin closing its doors to the D.C. community after prayer. Paola Chavez joins us in the studio to share more. Hello, Paola.
Good afternoon, Piola. A mosque in Northeast D.C. was vandalized twice in less than a week. I spoke to the director of the mosque, and he says the attack came as a surprise.
Of Ivy City in Northeast D.C. has recently become the target for vandalization. The house of worship has been unlocked and open to the community for 17 years, and this is the first time they've been targeted. Director of the mosque, Mohammed Mobadin, says he couldn't believe it.
I got a call from one of the brothers in the mosque, and he's saying, "Did you see what happened to the mosque?" And I said, "I just left, like not even half an hour ago, you know." He said, "Well, you better come and look. The glass is broken, the shelves are down." So I came back and I find a huge shelf that we have there that holds our holy books, the Quran and research books and what have you, was just crumbled down on the floor. Somebody just broke the whole shelf down.
Mobadin says a lot of the holy books were ripped and thrown on the floor. and police believe the vandals used a chair to smash the windows.
So the first time the police came, they took pictures and they believed it was vandalism. The second time, I had second thoughts about vandalism because I've been in this neighborhood for 20 years. I mean, I know everybody, and I know nobody will do such a thing to us, you know.
Mobadeen has begun installing security cameras and for now will close the mosque between each prayer, limiting those who would come and go.
We leave it up to the police to find out who did this, you know, and I hope they will find that person, and I just want to meet that person and find out why they did this, you know.
It is not clear whether or not this was a hate crime, but police are investigating.
The Council on American Islamic Relations is offering $500 for information that may lead to an arrest. Mobadini says he is grateful for the community support. Back to you in the studio, Piola.
Thanks, Paola. Longtime Maryland Senator Barbara Mikulski announced today that she is retiring after serving 5 terms in the office. Mikulski was the longest-serving woman in Congress and is known for advocating for women's rights. She says that she decided not to run for a 6th term because she wanted to focus on her next 2 years on helping her constituents rather than spending energy on her own political campaign.
Los Angeles police are investigating the shooting death of a man on Skid Row on Sunday night. Police were trying to take the man into custody when a scuffle occurred on the sidewalk. A police spokesman says that 4 officers wrestled the man to the ground, tased him, and shot him. The police were in the area after being called to a robbery. A bystander videotaped the incident and posted it online. So far, the video has received over 1 million views.
Today marks the 1-year anniversary of the disappearance of Relisha Rudd, an 8-year-old who lived at DC's General Homeless Shelter with her family. Rudd was missing for 3 weeks before her mother, Shamika Young, filed a missing persons report to the DC Metro Police. Police suspect that Rudd was kidnapped by the shelter's janitor, Khalil Tatum, who was found dead in the Kenilworth Park just weeks after the search began for Rudd. DC Mayor Muriel Bowser is expected to give an update on the Rudd investigation later today.
A new fire chief has been named in the nation's capital. This morning, DC Mayor Muriel Bowser announced Gregory Dean as the new chief of DC Fire and EMS. Dean served as fire chief in Seattle for 10 years before stepping down in December. During this morning's press conference, Mayor Muriel Bowser said she chose Dean because he had a strong EMS background. Dean's appointment still needs to be confirmed by the DC Council.
Secret Service is investigating 2 White House security breaches. The 2 separate incidents happened over the last 24 hours. Out of the White House Sunday night, Monday morning, a person tried to enter through the White House gate as another person was leaving. Some DC residents say the recent security breaches take away from the tourism experience. The Center for Public Integrity founder Chuck Lewis says the reoccurrence of the White House breaches.
It's obvious this agency has got a significant problem of dysfunction. They don't seem to know what they're doing. I think it sounds to me like it's mostly mismanagement, frankly.
Both people involved in the breaches were arrested.
On the weekend after marijuana became legal, people gathered to learn the business of weed. A sellout crowd came together for the Green Rush Conference. People paid $299 to attend the event and got pointers, everything from securing investors to dealing with tax issues. It is a crime to buy and sell marijuana in DC, but it is a legal process to sell 2 ounces or less. For more information about DC marijuana laws, go to dc.gov.
A recent report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends antiviral medication as another way to stop the flu. Lou has more details.
Antiviral drugs are a second line of defense to treat the flu if you get sick. A flu vaccination is the first way. Studies show that antiviral drugs can shorten the time people get sick, but it may still have side effects such as cough, headache, and some behavioral side effects. Studies show that flu antiviral drugs work best for treatment when they are started within 2 days of getting sick.
Most people, regular, normal, healthy people, would recover from the flu without needing any kind of medical care. We just recommend that you get a lot of rest and drink a lot of fluids and that kind of thing. However, if you are experiencing symptoms that are like difficulty breathing, or if you've gotten better and you've gotten sick again, if your heart rate is extremely fast or something like that, something doesn't seem right, then I would definitely call a doctor or go see someone in the student health center.
Studies also show antiviral drugs is also safe and good for pregnant women. Amber Liu, report for District Wire News.
Coming up later, the Humane Society is calling for legislation that will require pet stores to sell animals from shelters. Find out why the Montgomery Council is voting to ban puppy mills.
And after the break, we will have a sit-down interview with Rhonda Sarhan, an American University professor who will clarify what the term Islamic State means.